of architecture. MH4201. Sustainable architecture, historic and community perspective. Subject concept outline and short notes. Unit 2. Sustainable built environment across history. Throughout history, sustainable design principles have been utilized in various forms of architecture and building practices. Early civilizations, such as the ancient Greeks, Romans, and Chinese, incorporated sustainable design practices into their building techniques. For example, the Greeks and Romans utilized passive solar design principles to naturally heat and cool their buildings, such as designing buildings with south-facing windows to capture the sun's heat during the winter months. They also used locally sourced materials for their building construction, reducing transportation emissions. During the medieval period, sustainable design principles were also utilized in the construction of castles, cathedrals, and other monumental buildings. These buildings were often constructed with thick walls and small windows to conserve heat, and many were constructed using local materials such as stone and timber. In more recent history, the Industrial Revolution led to the widespread use of non-renewable resources and a significant increase in pollution and waste. However, sustainable design principles were still utilized by some architects and designers during this period, such as Frank Lloyd Wright's use of passive solar design principles in his iconic buildings. The modern sustainable design movement began in the 1960s, with the emergence of the environmental movement and growing concerns about resource depletion and pollution. This led to the development of new sustainable building materials and technologies, such as solar panels and green roofs, and an increased emphasis on energy efficiency and resource conservation in building design. Today, sustainable design principles are being incorporated into building practices across the world, with an emphasis on reducing energy use, conserving resources, and promoting social and cultural sustainability. From green buildings and LEED certifications to regenerative design and sustainable urban planning, the sustainable built environment continues to evolve and adapt to meet the challenges of a changing world. Sustainable built environment across history. Lifestyle of early humans. The lifestyle of early humans was closely tied to their natural environment and was characterized by a reliance on natural resources for survival. Early humans were hunter-gatherers who relied on hunting wild animals and gathering plants for food, clothing, and shelter. They lived in small groups and were highly mobile, moving from place to place in search of food and resources. Early humans also utilized natural materials for building shelter, such as caves, animal hides, and natural materials such as sticks and grass. They used fire for warmth, cooking, and light, and developed basic tools for hunting and gathering. Overall, the lifestyle of early humans was characterized by a deep connection to the natural world and a reliance on sustainable practices to meet their basic needs. While their lifestyle was vastly different from modern society, there are lessons to be learned from their sustainable practices and the importance of living in harmony with the natural world. Sustainable built environment across history. Lifestyle of early humans in detail. The lifestyle of early humans was closely tied to their natural environment and was characterized by a reliance on natural resources for survival. Early humans were nomadic and lived in small groups of around 20 to 30 individuals. They were hunter-gatherers who relied on hunting wild animals and gathering plants for food, clothing, and shelter. Early humans were skilled hunters and used various hunting techniques to catch wild animals, such as traps, snares, and bows and arrows. Early humans also relied on gathering plants for food, such as berries, fruits, nuts, and roots. They were also skilled at identifying and using plants for medicinal purposes. Early humans lived in simple shelters made from natural materials, such as animal hides, grasses, and branches. They built temporary structures such as lean-tos or more permanent structures like caves for shelter. These structures were designed to provide protection from the elements and predators. Early humans also used fire for warmth, cooking, and light. They learned how to create and control fire, which allowed them to cook food and stay warm in colder climates. Overall, the lifestyle of early humans was characterized by a deep connection to the natural world and a reliance on sustainable practices to meet their basic needs. While their lifestyle was vastly different from modern society, there are lessons to be learned from their sustainable practices and the importance of living in harmony with the natural world. Sustainable built environment across history. Evolution of sustainability. The idea of sustainability has evolved over time as people have become more aware of the impact of human activities on the environment. The concept of sustainability can be traced back to early civilizations, where people developed techniques to live in harmony with their natural surroundings. For example, ancient civilizations such as the Indus Valley Civilization and the Mayans developed sophisticated water management systems to ensure the availability of water for agriculture and domestic use. They also developed sustainable agriculture practices, such as crop rotation and irrigation techniques, to ensure the long-term productivity of their land. During the Industrial Revolution in the 18th and 19th centuries, there was a rapid expansion of urbanization and industrialization, which led to environmental degradation and pollution. This period marked the beginning of the modern environmental movement, as people began to recognize the need for sustainable practices to protect the environment and natural resources. In the 20th century, there was a growing awareness of the impact of human activities on the environment, which led to the development of modern environmentalism and sustainability. In 1987, the Brundtland Commission defined sustainability as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. This definition highlights the importance of balancing economic, social, and environmental considerations to ensure a sustainable future. Today, sustainability is a critical consideration in all areas of life, including architecture and building design. The focus is on developing sustainable practices that minimize the impact of human activities on the environment and natural resources, while still meeting the needs of society. The evolution of sustainability over time highlights the need for continued innovation and adaptation to ensure a sustainable future for all. Sustainable built environment across history. Ancient and traditional perspectives in neighborhood planning and architecture from cultures across the world. Ancient and traditional cultures across the world have developed sustainable practices in neighborhood planning and architecture that are still relevant today. Some examples include Feng Shui. This ancient Chinese practice involves designing buildings and neighborhoods in harmony with the natural environment to create a healthy and balanced living space. It focuses on the use of natural materials, orientation of buildings to optimize energy efficiency and create a healthy indoor environment, and the use of water features to promote good energy flow. Courtyard houses. This traditional architecture style is common in Middle Eastern and Mediterranean cultures, where it is hot and dry. Courtyard houses are designed around a central courtyard, which provides shade and a cool outdoor space. The courtyard also promotes natural ventilation, which helps to keep the interior of the house cool. Kachcha houses. These are traditional mud houses found in rural India. They are made from locally sourced mud, which is readily available and has a low environmental impact. Kachcha houses are designed to stay cool in the summer and warm in the winter, making them energy efficient and sustainable. Native American pueblos. These are traditional adobe structures found in the southwestern United States. They are built from locally sourced materials and are designed to stay cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Pueblos are also designed to promote community living, with communal spaces for cooking and socializing. Greek city planning. The ancient Greeks were pioneers in urban planning, with a focus on creating functional and sustainable cities. They used natural materials, such as stone and wood, and designed their cities around a central public space, such as a marketplace or agora. Greek city planning also prioritized accessibility, with well-planned streets and transportation systems. Overall, these ancient and traditional perspectives on neighborhood planning and architecture demonstrate the importance of sustainability and living in harmony with the natural environment. They offer valuable lessons for contemporary architects and planners seeking to create sustainable and livable communities. Ancient and traditional perspectives in neighborhood planning and architecture from cultures in India. India has a rich cultural heritage and a long history of sustainable neighborhood planning and architecture. Here are some examples. Vastu Shastra. This ancient Indian practice dates back to the Vedic period and involves the design of buildings in harmony with the natural environment. It is similar to feng shui in China and involves the use of natural materials, orientation of buildings to optimize energy efficiency and create a healthy indoor environment, and the use of water features to promote good energy flow. Step wells. Step wells are an ancient form of water storage and management that are found throughout India. They are designed to capture rainwater and store it for use during the dry season. Step wells are often elaborate structures with intricate carvings and sculptures, and they serve as community gathering places. Chettinad houses. These are traditional houses found in the Chettinad region of Tamil Nadu. They are built from locally sourced materials such as wood, stone, and clay, and are designed to stay cool in the hot and humid climate. Chettinad houses feature open courtyards and verandas that promote natural ventilation and provide shade. Havelis. Havelis are traditional mansions found in Rajasthan and other parts of northern India. They are designed around a central courtyard, which serves as a gathering place for family members and guests. Havelis are often elaborately decorated with intricate carvings and paintings, and they incorporate natural materials, such as stone and wood. The Indus Valley Civilization. The Indus Valley Civilization, which flourished from around 2600 BCE to 1900 BCE, was one of the earliest urban civilizations in the world. The cities of the Indus Valley, such as Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, were designed with a grid-like street pattern and a sophisticated system of water management, including underground drainage systems and public baths. Overall, these examples demonstrate the importance of sustainable neighborhood planning and architecture in India's history and culture. They offer valuable lessons for contemporary architects and planners seeking to create sustainable and livable communities in India and beyond. Sustainable built environment across history planning principles and concepts of historic and vernacular Indian cities/settlements with respect to sustainability. Historic and vernacular Indian cities and settlements were designed with sustainability in mind, using principles and concepts that are still relevant today. Here are some examples. Water management. Many historic Indian cities and settlements were built around water sources, such as rivers and lakes, and were designed to manage water efficiently. For example, the ancient city of Hampi in Karnataka was built around the Tungabhadra River, with canals and reservoirs used to irrigate crops and supply water to the city. Passive cooling. Traditional Indian architecture makes use of passive cooling techniques to keep buildings cool in hot and humid climates. For example, many buildings feature deep eaves and verandas that provide shade and reduce heat gain, while courtyards and open spaces promote natural ventilation. Mixed-use development. Historic Indian cities and settlements were often designed with mixed-use development in mind, with residential areas located close to markets, temples, and other community facilities. This helped to reduce the need for transportation and fostered a sense of community. Compact urban form. Many historic Indian cities and settlements were designed with a compact urban form, with buildings and streets closely packed together. This helped to reduce the need for transportation and made it easier for people to access community facilities and public spaces. Natural materials. Traditional Indian architecture makes use of natural materials such as mud, brick, and stone, which are locally sourced and readily available. These materials have a low environmental impact and help to create a sense of place and cultural identity. These principles and concepts can be seen in historic and vernacular Indian cities and settlements, such as Jaipur, Jaisalmer, and Agra. They offer valuable lessons for contemporary architects and planners seeking to create sustainable and livable communities in India and around the world. Sustainable built environment across history. Cultural beliefs associated with the principles/concepts. The principles and concepts of sustainable built environment in historic and vernacular Indian cities and settlements were closely tied to cultural beliefs and traditions. Here are some examples. Water management. In many Indian cultures, water is seen as a sacred resource and is used in religious ceremonies and rituals. The management of water in historic Indian cities and settlements was therefore not just a practical concern, but also a spiritual one. Passive cooling. The use of passive cooling techniques in traditional Indian architecture was closely tied to beliefs about health and well-being. It was believed that living in a cool and well-ventilated environment was essential for maintaining good health and preventing diseases. Mixed-use development. The concept of mixed-use development in Indian cities and settlements was tied to the idea of community and social interaction. In many Indian cultures, community is highly valued, and living close to others and sharing public spaces is seen as an important part of daily life. Compact urban form. The compact urban form of historic Indian cities and settlements was tied to beliefs about the relationship between humans and the environment. It was believed that living in harmony with nature and minimizing one's impact on the environment was essential for a healthy and sustainable way of life. Natural materials. The use of natural materials in traditional Indian architecture was tied to beliefs about the importance of nature and the environment. In many Indian cultures, the natural world is seen as a source of spiritual and moral guidance, and using natural materials in architecture was a way of connecting with these values. Overall, the principles and concepts of sustainable built environment in historic and vernacular Indian cities and settlements were deeply rooted in cultural beliefs and traditions, reflecting a holistic and integrated approach to architecture and urban planning.